Imagine opening your eyes 50,000 years ago. Every sunrise came with one terrifying question. Would you survive until sunset? Back then, fear wasn't just an emotion, it was what kept you alive. Every strange sound could mean something was watching you. Ancient humans knew one simple truth. They weren't the strongest creatures in nature. A single predator could end your life in seconds. That's why people almost never traveled alone. Your tribe wasn't just your family, it was your protection. But if you ever became separated, everything changed. Suddenly, every shadow looked dangerous. And the worst part, animals weren't the only thing ancient humans feared. When dark clouds appeared, everyone knew trouble was coming. A storm could destroy fires, flood shelters, and leave an entire tribe freezing. Fire wasn't just for cooking, it was protection. Without fire, the night belonged to predators. Every sunset made the world far more dangerous. One strange sound could keep an entire tribe awake. Nobody wanted to be the first person to investigate. Sometimes it was only the wind, but sometimes it wasn't the wind at all. And tomorrow's fear would be even worse. Finding enough food to survive. Every morning began with the same challenge, finding enough food before something found you first. Hunting wasn't just difficult, it was one of the most dangerous jobs anyone could do. A successful hunt meant food for everyone. A failed hunt meant empty stomachs. Sometimes the hunters followed animals for hours, without catching anything. Every step had to be silent. One mistake could scare the animals away. But the hunters weren't always the ones doing the hunting. A hunter could become prey in a single heartbeat. Fear sharpened every sense. It forced people to notice what others might miss. Sometimes the safest choice was turning back. But even if the hunt was successful, another fear was waiting back at camp. Food never lasted long. By the next morning, the search had already begun again. There were no farms, no stores. Every meal had to be earned. Some days, there was simply nothing to find. Hunger slowly drained strength from every member of the tribe. Children felt it first, the elderly felt it even more. A successful hunt wasn't just good news, it meant another day of life. But food also attracted unwanted visitors. The smell of fresh meat could travel farther than anyone realized. Sometimes the tribe had to defend their meal before they could even eat it. But even when the animals stayed away, another invisible danger waited nearby. Fresh water looked safe, but appearances could be deadly. One careless drink could make an entire tribe dangerously sick. There were no doctors and no medicine waiting to help. Even a tiny cut could become a serious problem. Infection was an enemy no one could see. That's why every injury was treated with great care. Fear didn't always come from giant predators. Sometimes the smallest creatures were the most dangerous. Ancient humans learned to respect every corner of nature. But one mistake could still leave you completely alone. Getting lost was one of the greatest fears an ancient human could face. Without familiar landmarks, every direction looked exactly the same. The farther you walked, the farther you could drift from home. As the sun moved across the sky, the panic slowly began to grow. Every strange sound suddenly felt much closer. Even the wind could sound like something hunting you. The safest place was wherever your tribe was. But sometimes there was nothing but silence. As night came closer, every minute became more dangerous. And just when he thought things couldn't get worse, he wasn't alone anymore. The glowing eyes never moved. They simply watched. Running could trigger a chase. Standing still felt just as dangerous. His heart raced louder than the forest itself. Then, the bushes suddenly shook. A huge wild boar burst out of the darkness. The danger disappeared as quickly as it arrived. But relief didn't last very long. Nightfall was a race against time. Without fire, survival became much harder. As the first flames appeared, strange howls echoed through the night. The tiny fire became his only shield against the darkness. He couldn't sleep. Every crackle of the fire sounded like footsteps. The flames grew smaller, and so did his feeling of safety. Outside the firelight, the forest was completely silent. Then, something moved. He held his breath, waiting for whatever came next. A frightened deer suddenly leaped into the clearing. If the deer was running, something else might be following. Fear forced ancient humans to think before they acted. When the first rays of sunlight finally appeared, he had survived another night, but an even greater challenge was waiting. The cold wasn't uncomfortable. It was deadly. Winter changed everything. Food became scarce, and every journey became harder. Many animals disappeared during the cold season. Without animals, the tribe grew hungrier every day. Some families survived only by sharing everything they had. Working together became more important than ever. The strongest tribes weren't always the biggest. They were the best at helping each other. Nature tested everyone every single day. But nature wasn't always their greatest enemy. Sometimes, the most dangerous thing waiting in the wilderness was another human. Not every stranger wanted peace. Nobody knew if a meeting would end with friendship or violence. Every movement was carefully watched. One wrong decision could start a deadly fight. Sometimes, there wasn't enough food for everyone. Competition often became another battle for survival. But fighting always carried a terrible risk. A serious injury could threaten the entire tribe. Sometimes, the smartest victory was avoiding a fight altogether. Even after escaping danger, ancient humans still feared losing the people they loved most. For ancient humans, losing a family member was one of the deepest fears imaginable. Every hunt carried the risk that someone might never return. Every goodbye could become the last. Fear taught people to protect one another. Children learned survival from the moment they could walk. Knowledge became the greatest weapon humans ever created. Each generation passed those lessons to the next. That knowledge saved countless lives. Fear slowly became experience, and experience became survival.